We on Shamizi? Okay, perfect. So welcome back to another episode of Stick to the Script. This segment is going to be called Choppa City because we chopping up all false doctrine. And today we're going to be dealing with the Lunar Sabbath versus the 7-day Sabbath, or Saturday Sabbath as we call it. So first scripture, we're just going to jump straight into it. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 14. Let's go ahead and preface it. 1 Corinthians 14, and we're going to read verse 33.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion.
So it says the Most High is not the author of confusion. It shouldn't be 3 and 4 different ways of keeping the Sabbath out here. Most High has one specific set way for us to keep it. And it ain't that deep. It's not that difficult. But some people want to make it more difficult than it needs to be. Read.
But of peace, as in all churches of the saints.
So it says the Most High is the author of peace, not of confusion, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. So there shouldn't be a debate. There shouldn't be an argument on how we should be keeping the Sabbath. Is it on this fixed day, or is it predicated upon the moon? It's not that deep. The Most High is not that confusing. Let's read Exodus 20.
You want 8?
We're going to start at 8. We're going to read down to 11.
The book of Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
So the scriptures tell you, the Sabbath is mandated. It was a law of the Most High. 6 days you're supposed to do work. But on the 7th day is when you're supposed to rest, right? So now the question is this. What day is the 7th day? How do you calculate the 7-day Sabbath? Is it fixed? Is it changing? Is it rotating? Is it fluid? Because it's predicated upon when the new moon comes in. What really is it? So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. And by the end of today, by the end of this class, there shouldn't be no more confusion. So the first thing I want to deal with, let's go. We're going to calculate how many days. We're going to preface everything with this. We're going to calculate how many days are in a month according to the Lord, according to the scriptures. So let's go to Genesis chapter 7. We're going to start at verse 11.
The book of Genesis chapter 7, verse 11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights.
Okay, so it says in the 600th year of Noah's life, the 2nd month, 17th day of the month. I want you to remember that. Drop down to verse 24.
Verse 24. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days.
It said, and the water was on the earth for 150 days. Let's drop down to chapter 8. We're going to read 3 through 4.
Genesis chapter 8, verse 3. And the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month. On the 17th day of the month.
Go ahead, read.
Upon the mountains of Ararat.
So the scriptures are telling you. It says, so from the 2nd month, 17th day of the month, between the 2nd month and the 7th month on the 17th day, there was 150 days that went by, right? Take me to the PowerPoint. So the 2nd month, 17th day of the month, is between the 2nd month and the 7th month is 5 months, right? But it's also 150 days. So how many days are in each month? We're going to do some basic math. So 150 days divided into 5 months are going to give us how many months are in how many days are in a month. So 150 days divided into 5 months is 30 days per month. So each one of our months has 30 days. And even outside of the scriptures, you see in science, it tells you that the lunation cycle is 29.55, pretty much rounding up to 30 days. The lunation cycle is 30 days. So let's get into actually calculating the lunar Sabbath. We'll deal with this one first. Let me see if I can get the laser on here. Okay, so this is, as it says at the top, it's a hypothetical calendar. So let's say the new moon comes in right here, Tuesday the 1st. This would be day 1. And actually I have 2 different calendars because from what I've learned, there's 2 different ways that people keep it. So the new moon comes in day 1. This is the first day of the month and also the first day of the week. Day 2 is on the 2nd. Day 3 is on the 3rd. Day 4 is on the 4th. Day 5 is on the 5th. Day 6 is on the 6th. And the Sabbath day falls on the 7th, right? Now, we start over. The first day of the week is now on the 8th. Day 2 is on the 9th. Day 3 is on the 10th. And it goes on. Sabbath day falls on the 14th. Then the Sabbath day falls on the 21st. Then the Sabbath day falls on the 28th. So this is one way. One more way that they do it. Yeah. Oh, no, that one's 6 plus 2. This one's 6 plus 1. So now, the new moon, some people who keep the lunar Sabbath don't even count the new moon as the first day of the week. This is a separate Sabbath. Day 1 falls after the new moon. So day 1 is on the 2nd, day 2 is on the 3rd, day 3 is on the 4th, so on and so forth. I'm not going to sit up here and ramble on pertaining to this specifically. So now, Sabbath day falls on the 8th day of the month, 15th day of the month, the 22nd of the month, and the 29th of the month, right? So, what's wrong with this? Well, it's very simple. Scriptures say there's 30 days in a month. There's approximately 4 weeks in each month, right? So if the new moon falls here, and then we have 1 Sabbath, 2 Sabbath, 3 Sabbaths, 4 Sabbaths. So then we go day 1, day 2. Let me see where it's at. Oh, here it is. Excuse me. We'll start it on this calendar. So the Sabbath day is here. This is the first Sabbath, 2nd Sabbath, 3rd Sabbath, 4th Sabbath, right? So after day 7 here, this would be day 1. This would be day 2. But this is a problem because the new moon falls here. So we will be starting over. So from here, day 29, day 30, which should be the first day of the month, the first day of the week, what happens here? We have to start over. So the new moon comes in here, then it'd be day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the new Sabbath day falls on a Wednesday. Last month it was falling on a Tuesday. But something happened because there's this day right here. Do we account for it or do we not? That's the question. Do we account for this day or not? Because if we do, then this is a big problem because it's called a 7-day Sabbath, but it would have been 8 days before we got to our next 7-day Sabbath. It's even worse with this particular calendar because look at this. The 7th day would have fell on a Monday, which is the 28th. We have 2 days here, and then we hit the new moon. And then we count 7 days from the new moon, right? We have 2 free days. Something is wrong. So it would be 9 days until our next 7-day Sabbath. Something ain't right. If it's the 7-day Sabbath, there should be no confusion. There should be no exceptions. The 7-day Sabbath is every 7 days. You still have to account for those 2 days because they're still a part of the month. You still have to account for those 2 days. So what's going on? That's just one of the many flaws in the lunar Sabbath doctrine. Because one more time so you can see it. Here, new moon falls here. 7 days later we have a Sabbath. 7 more days we have a Sabbath. 7 more days we have a Sabbath, and 7 more days we have a Sabbath. 7 times 4 is 28, which we hit here, 28 days. But it's 30 days in a month. So what happened to these 2 days? Because the next 7-day Sabbath doesn't come until after this new moon, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But remember, this was day 30 and this was day 30, 30, 29, and 28. So 29 and 30, do we just brush over it? Do these days not count? How does this work? So this is one of the issues, right? As is written, what happens with the other 2 days? Now, let's get another one. We're dealing with calculating one of the feasts, calculating Pentecost. So we see here that every month you would end up with 9 days before your first 7-day Sabbath, because there's 2 days in there that are not accounted for. Because you have a 7-day Sabbath, you have 4 in a month, that's 28 days. 28 days, you have 2 days till you get to the 30th day, and those 2 days are between the last Sabbath and the new moon. So even if you say, well, we had a Sabbath right there, it's like, okay, well, then you have a 2-day Sabbath too. That's a problem.
Right.
You have 4 7-day Sabbaths and a 2-day Sabbath. Makes no sense. Let's go to Leviticus 23. Let me see if I can get out of here really quick.
Let me know when you're ready.
23. We're going to start at 15. Actually, if I can't pull this up, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. You know what? We might breeze past this one, only because I wouldn't be able to pull it up on the laptop for the feed. It's fine. But let's get Leviticus 23, and we'll start at verse 15.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
Mm-hmm.
Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days.
So the scriptures tell you that first fruits. Let me get over here. First fruits is supposed to be 7 Sabbaths. 7 Sabbaths means it's 7 weeks. 7 days in those 7 weeks. That's 49 days. It says the day after that would be 50 days. So so first fruits, also known as Pentecost, would be 50 days after the Sabbath that follows the very last day of unleavened bread. So let's say unleavened bread, the final day falls on a Thursday. That next Saturday or next Friday evening would be the start of your count or Pentecost. Let's go to Tobit chapter 2. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's get Deuteronomy 16 first. Deuteronomy 16 and 9. And then we'll get Tobit. So we can see clearly how long it's supposed to be before when we go to, how far away is first fruits from, or what's the count, I should say, rather. What is the count of first fruits or Pentecost? Read.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 9. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee.
Mm-hmm.
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
So it says 7 weeks you will need to number. Go to Tobit 2:1 really quickly. So Leviticus 23 said 49 days plus a day is when you keep first fruits. Deuteronomy 16:9 told you that 49 days is 7 weeks. Let's see what Tobit says as well. Tobit 2:1.
The book of Tobit, chapter 2, verse 1. Now when I was come home again, and my wife Anna was restored unto me, with my son Tobias, in the feast of Pentecost, which is the holy feast of the 7 weeks.
Of the what?
Of the 7 weeks.
So he even said the feast of Pentecost, penta meaning 50, also known as the what?
The feast of 7 weeks.
The feast of 7 weeks. So you're supposed to, the 50 days is supposed to equate to 7 weeks. But the problem here is, how can that be if your weeks are not consecutive? The Sabbath day continues to change. So if you counted 7 Sabbaths and all 7 Sabbaths fell on a Monday, you would have 49 days. But the problem comes in when you have 7 Sabbaths, and every 4 weeks, every 4 Sabbaths, the day changes. Your 7 Sabbaths are not going to equal 50 days. It's impossible, because you have a change every 4 weeks. So let's say if it's Monday, matter of fact, let me go back right here. So let's say we start here. We'll start here. So let's say we're counting 50 days for Pentecost. Let me get this laser so we can see it. Okay. So let's say we start the count. Oh, we can't see it. Oh, that's why. Okay. So let's say we start the count here, right? If we're counting Pentecost. So this would be 1. I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to count just 50 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50, right? You count 50 straight days, that's easy. But now let's say you got to count 50 days and they have to equal 7 weeks. So here's day 1. This is week 1. This is the first Sabbath. Week 2, that's the second Sabbath. Week 3, that's the third Sabbath. Week 4, that's the fourth Sabbath. 29 days or 28, depending on how you keep it. So we're at 28/29 days. This is the new moon. So the new Sabbath will fall on a Wednesday, right? So we're at 29 days and 4 Sabbaths. So this would be day 30. This would be 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, right? This was the new moon. This was the new day 1. Well, actually, I'm sorry. This wouldn't even be the new day 1, because this is off of the calendar that's not, how do you say it? That's the first day is not counted until afterward. So this would actually be day 1. So this would be day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your new Sabbath falls on Thursday. So it went from Tuesday being your Sabbaths to Thursdays being your Sabbath. So we are 29 days in, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. This will be your 5th Sabbath. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. This will be your 6th Sabbath. 46, 7, 8, 49, 50 days. You fall short of your 7th Sabbath. So 50 days has to be 7 Sabbaths. If you didn't understand that, 7 Sabbaths. So this is all the way to the 4th Sabbath. Or if I simplify it for you, we'll do this one, where we count the first day as the new moon. First Sabbath is here, second Sabbath is here, third Sabbath is here, fourth Sabbath is here, right? This would be where the new moon would fall in. So the new moon would be on a Wednesday this time, so I'm counting it over for you. New moon, then 7 days from the new moon will be here. So your 5th Sabbath would be here, according to this calendar, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. So this is 37 days, also known as your 5th Sabbath. 37 days, 38 days. Well, I'm sorry, 37 days, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, which is your 6th, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. You still don't reach that 7th Sabbath. 50 days is supposed to be 7 Sabbath plus a day, so it should have fell on this Thursday. So the count is just off. Simply put, the count is off. You can't even calculate Pentecost right. So on top of the 2 days missing, right here, because we have to account for these, or the 1 day missing, because you have to account for this one before the next new moon, you can't even calculate Pentecost correctly. Now, some people will say, no, you just count 50 straight days. No, 50 days has to equal 7 weeks. Scriptures tell you it has to. 50 days is synonymous with 7 weeks when we're talking about the Feast of First Fruits. So, no, you can't do, we did 6 weeks and 28 days. No, it has to be 7 weeks. That's a problem. So we got the 2 missing days that we got to account for because one of your Sabbaths end up an 8 or a 9 day Sabbath instead of a 7 day Sabbath. And then we also got to deal with Pentecost not being calculated correctly, right? Let's go to, let's deal in the scriptures because there's some questions even scripturally that must be answered. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 1. This is dealing with David and the showbread. And it's kind of funny, people who deal with this, to say that the moon governs the weeks, they always skip over this particular part when we get into 1 Samuel 21. It's like it didn't exist, or that doesn't matter. When the portion in 1 Samuel 21 is the most important part. So 1 Samuel chapter 20, we're going to start at verse 1.
So basically what you're saying, either way, the 6 plus 1 or the 7 plus 1, because they, it's 2 ways that they keep it.
Either way it goes, there is 1 or 2 days missing. So you're either going to have an 8-day Sabbath before you get to your next 7-day Sabbath. Oh, excuse me, you're going to have 8 days before you get to your next 7-day Sabbath, or you're going to have 9 days before you get to your next 7-day Sabbath. That's a problem. But now watch this, this is going off of the lunar Sabbath. Now watch this, and I'll deal with part of what they say and also the part that they overlook. Let's go to, let's read verse 1. 1 Samuel 20, verse 1.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 1. And David fled from Naoth in Ramah and came and said before Jonathan, what have I done? What is mine iniquity? And what is my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? And he said unto him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, but that he will show it me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so.
So this is talking about when David and Jonathan were best friends at this point. David's talking to Jonathan like, dude, I don't know what I did to your dad, but he's trying to kill me. Jonathan said, there ain't no way he's trying to kill you, because if he was, I would have known about it. Trust me, it's just have faith in me, dog. That's not the case. And David is sitting there, arguing back with him like, no, dude, he's trying to kill me, right? Let's drop down to verse 5.
Verse 5, and David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the 3rd day at even.
So, scriptures say that the new moon, drop down to verse 24. So, the new moon was coming in the next day, right? Let's read. Where do I want to start? Okay, yeah, we want to start at verse 24. So we see that David now made a deal with Jonathan, or made a plan with Jonathan. He said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Let me hide until the third day here. Jonathan says, okay, cool. Now, if I find out that my dad is trying to kill you, I'm going to send you a sign. He said, I'm going to shoot the arrow, and I'm going to say this if it's all good, and I'm going to say that if it's all bad. That's ultimately what happened in the remaining portion of those verses, right? So verse 24, now we're going to get to the new moon part, right? Let's read verse 24.
Verse 24. So David hid himself in the field. And when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
And the king sat upon his seat, as at other times, even upon the seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought something had befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean.
So it says the new moon it came in. They sat down for a feast. David didn't show up, and Saul is like, he must just be unclean. Maybe he touched a dead body or something. I don't know, right? Read verse 27.
Verse 27. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month.
Wait a minute. This is what they do. Wait a minute. So the new moon was the first day. The second day of the month is where we are now, showing you that the moon governs the days. But it doesn't say it governs the days of the weeks. It doesn't say it governs weeks. That's the problem. But that's where they'll stop it at, right? So the second day of the month is here, right? The new moon just came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead. We're on day 2. Actually, we're going to read down so we can keep it in context. Read on.
That David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet, neither yesterday nor today? And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, Let me go, I pray thee, for our family hath a sacrifice in the city, and my brother, he hath commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in thine eyes, let me get away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he cometh not unto the king's table.
Mm-hmm.
Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said unto him, Thou son of the perverse, rebellious woman, do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thine own confusion, and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness?
So he's sitting here explaining it like, dude, I know you lying to me. Do you not know that if I don't get rid of David, you're not going to be king? So that's what he's explaining to Jonathan right now. Read.
For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die.
So he finds out, oh, my pops is really trying to kill David. Okay, read.
And Jonathan answered Saul his father, and said unto him, Wherefore shall he be slain? And what hath he done? And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David.
Verse 34.
Verse 34. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, and did eat no meat the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame.
So it's still the second day, right? They had this whole argument. He got up, he left. It's still the second day. He went and he spoke to David still on the second day, right? He went out there, he sent his signal. David came and spoke with Jonathan. He said, yeah, my pops is really, he is trying to kill you. He said, dang, that's crazy. So then he sends him off. After this, David said, okay, I'm going to go off into to Nob, right? So this is only the second day. Let's read chapter 21. We're going to read 1 through 6. Pay attention to this.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 1. Then came David to Nob to Ahimelech the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, The king hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee. And I have appointed my servants to such and such a place.
Okay.
Now therefore, what is under thine hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what is there present? The priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under mine hand,
Okay.
but there is hollow bread. If the young men have kept themselves at least from women.
So, really quickly, 2 days had passed by. David went to another little town known as Nob. He's talking to the priest. Priest is sitting there like, yo, why are you here by yourself? Like, there's no army. What's going on? He said, Saul sent me on a secret mission, and he told me don't tell nobody, right? He said, yo, what you got in your, what do you have in your hand? He said, give me some of that bread. And the priest said, I can't give you this bread. This is specifically for the Levites, according to the law. This is not common bread. Then he goes on and says, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. So he's saying as long as you didn't have sex and you're clean, because when you lay with a woman and you copulate, or sperm comes out of you, you are now unclean and you have to bathe and so on and so forth. He says, so as long as you guys as long as y'all clean and y'all ain't done nothing like that, then I can give you some of this holy bread, right? Read verse 5.
Verse 5. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days.
So it said 3 days. So 1 day had went by. So day 1 was the new moon. Saul was like, man, David ain't here. Maybe something happened. Day 2 went by. And Saul went and spoke to Jonathan and said, where's David? They get in their argument. Day 2, it's still day 2 when Jonathan goes and speaks with David and say, hey, my pops is really trying to kill you. Now we're on day 3. And the priest asked David, have you guys laid with any women? Have you defiled yourself, or have you made yourself unclean? He said, for 3 days, we haven't done that. So since the new moon, we've been good, right? Read on.
Since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessels.
So, it said this is holy bread. Let's go to Leviticus 24. Watch this. Because this is one of the things you got to deal with. Let me see. Read verse 6 for me.
Verse 6, so the priest gave him hollow bread.
So he had holy bread. Read.
For there was no bread there but the showbread.
But the what?
But the showbread.
The showbread, right? Read.
That was taken from before the Most High, to put hot bread in the oven when it was taken away.
Go to Leviticus 24. We're going to talk about this one. So, day 1 of the new moon. Day 1 was the new moon, the first day of the month. Day 2, they got in their argument, and Jonathan went to see David and said, yes, my father's trying to kill you. Day 3, David is in Nob talking to the priest. The priest says, hey, I don't have any common bread. This is showbread. This is holy bread that I got out of the temple. He said, if you aren't unclean, then I can give you some of this showbread, right? He said, and then it says, the showbread was taken from before the Lord, so it was taken off of the altar to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. When do we switch the showbread? Let's go to Leviticus 24 and find out. 24, we're going to start at verse 4. When do we switch the showbread? This one you got to deal with. How often do we switch the showbread?
Leviticus chapter 24, verse 4. He shall order the lamps upon the pure candlestick before the Most High continually. And thou shalt take fine flour, and bake 12 cakes thereof. 2/10 deals shall be in one cake. And thou shalt set them in 2 rows, 6 on a row, upon the pure table before the Most High. And thou shalt put pure frankincense upon each row, that it may be on the bread for a memorial.
Okay.
even an offering made by fire unto the Most High.
How often does this happen?
Every Sabbath.
Say it again.
Every Sabbath.
One more time.
Every Sabbath.
Okay, every Sabbath, read.
He shall eat it in order before the Most
He
High.
shall set it in order.
Salakia. Every Sabbath he shall set it in order before the Most High continually.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Wait a second. So, we're going to go back to 1 Samuel, and it says, day 1 was the new moon, right? Day 2, they got in the argument. Day 3, David is in the land of Nob, and they had just taken off the old showbread and put on the new showbread. And the scriptures say you change the showbread every Sabbath. So what Sabbath comes 3 days after the new moon? Because it's supposed to be every 7 days, right? Only 3 days. 3 days after the new moon, they were changing out the showbread. The showbread only gets changed every Sabbath. Why is there a Sabbath only 3 days after the new moon? If the Sabbath comes 7 days after the new moon, something ain't right. Something ain't right. So, we got earlier on, you occasionally have a 9 days before you get to your 7-day Sabbath, which shouldn't be so. We showed earlier on that your calculation of Pentecost or first fruits has to be 7 weeks and 50 days, and you can't get that with the lunar cycle, lunar Sabbath, keeping the lunar Sabbath in that fashion. And then we just saw that there's a Sabbath 3 days after the new moon. You can probably try and make the argument, well, it was a high holy day coming in. Well, what high holy day was coming in? Because the only high holy days that come in, new moons, Passover comes 14 days after the new moon, the first new moon, which would actually fall on your 7-day Sabbath. So it can't be that. Trumpets falls on the new moon. Tabernacle falls on the new moon. And 7 days from there is the last day of Tabernacles, or a day after, excuse me. So that's only 1 day after your next Sabbath. So these 3 days, and there's a Sabbath. That's a problem. Scripturally, that's a problem. Because we're dealing with something that's very important. The scripture says if you don't keep the Sabbath, you die. So if you're keeping the Sabbath the wrong way, you're not keeping the Sabbath. The Most High is going to deal with you, especially if you're being stubborn about it. So we just saw 28 days plus 2 would get you 30. So there's 2 days that we don't account for before the new moon comes in again, and we wait 7 days after that. So it's about 9 days every month before your first 7-day Sabbath. That ain't scriptural. Pentecost cannot be calculated properly, which is 50 days and 7 weeks. Not 50 days or 7 weeks. 50 days and 7 weeks. That's not calculated properly. We then see, after the new moon, 3 days after the new moon, we changing showbread. And we change that every Sabbath. So 3 days after new moon, there's a Sabbath. We had 3 strikes already. But let's continue. Let's go to Mark. Let's deal with Yahweh Shai. Let's deal with the Messiah. I got all the scriptures laid out so y'all can follow along. Mark chapter 14. We are going to start with verse 1. Because again, something is not going to make sense. And the thing is, this is no slight. This is no disrespect intended. This is just, let's weigh in the balance so we can get the true understanding. Let's weigh in the balance so people can be following the Sabbath properly. This is important to the Most High. This ain't just, we out here cutting y'all up. No, we out here, as we said, we chopping up false doctrines. All of that garbage got to go. This is sincere because we want people to be moving in righteousness. So we ain't getting more strikes and more stains on our name. But watch this. This is another one that has to be dealt with. Mark 14.
The book of Mark, chapter 14, verse 1. After 2 days was the feast of the Passover.
So now 2 days have gone by, and we're now at the feast of Passover. Read.
And of unleavened bread.
Uh-huh.
And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by craft.
Uh-huh.
And put him to death.
So, we're now at Passover. Christ is about to keep the Passover. It says, and the Pharisees are trying to figure out how we going to get this man so we can kill him. Right? Let's drop down to verse 16.
Verse 16. And his disciples went forth and came into the city and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover.
So the evening is coming in, and they about to prepare the Passover. Read.
And in the evening he cometh with the 12.
So in the evening, him and his main disciples came in. So now it is Passover. We are now in Passover. Passover is also known as the 15th or the 14th day of the month, right? Which would be one of their Sabbaths. Because it's only on the 7th and the 14th day that you have a Sabbath. And if you, like I said, if you keep it the other way, then it would be on the 2nd and the 15th day. But either way it goes, there is a Sabbath there, right? Drop down to verse 55.
You didn't want 18?
Verse 18?
Okay,
Yeah, let's read that. No, go ahead. Read 18.
Verse 18. And as they sat and did eat.
So they're eating the Passover. This is Passover. Read.
Jesus said, verily I say unto you, one of you which eateth with me shall betray me.
Let's drop down to 55.
Verse 55. And the chief priest and all the council sought for witness against Yahushua to put him to death, and found none.
Uh-huh.
For many bare false witness against him, but their witness agreed not together.
Okay, so we're still in the eve of Passover, right? Let's drop down to verse 15. So they already captured Christ after he had eaten. It's probably like 2, 3 in the morning or something like that, right? Now, we're about to hit the morning of Passover, also known as the first day of unleavened bread. 15 and 1.
Mark chapter 15, verse 1. And straightway in the morning, and the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and the scribes and the whole council, and bound Yahushua and carried him away, and delivered him to Pilate. And Pilate asked him, art thou the king of the Jews?
So, we can stop there. We're going to drop down to verse 25. So, now it's morning time, right? It says, straightway in the morning, the priests held the consultation and the elders. So they had already caught Christ. They had him locked up. They figuring out what they're going to do. He had already ate Passover, which was the 14th day at even, also known as the 15th day. So this is their Sabbath. They are already in a Sabbath, right? Drop down to verse 25.
Verse 25. And it was the 3rd hour, and they crucified him.
So the 3rd hour, meaning it had been 3 hours since the sun had risen. It's about 9 o'clock at this point, 9 in the morning, right? Read.
And the superscription of the accusation was written over, the king of the Jews.
Okay, let's drop down to verse 33.
Verse 33. And when the 6th hour was come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour.
So this was 6 hours after the sun had risen, approximately noon. So from about noon to 3 p.m., which was the 9th hour, that's 3 p.m., it was darkness all over the earth, right? Read.
And at the 9th hour, Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which is being interpreted, my power, why hast thou forsaken me?
So it was dark from noon as they were beating him and doing everything they were doing. It was dark from approximately noon to 3 p.m. Then Christ cried out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Read.
And some of them that stood by, when they heard it, said, behold, he calleth Elias. And one ran and filled a sponge full of vinegar, and put it on a reed, and gave him to drink, saying, let alone, let us see whether Elias will come to take him down. And Yahushua cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost.
So, approximately 3:30-ish, Christ dies in the evening. Now, mind you, this was just the morning after Passover, right? Their Passover is also one of their 7-day Sabbaths. So we just hit Passover. He just ate. the night before. Now he just got crucified. It's about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, excuse me, going into the evening. Drop down to verse 42. Watch this.
Verse 42. And now when the even was come,
So now we're rolling into the evening time. Read.
because it was the preparation.
It was the what?
It was the preparation.
Read.
That is the day before the Sabbath.
Wait.
Cut.
Wait. If your Sabbath falls on the 7th and 14th day, you have a Sabbath now on the 15th day? What day is this? Where does this particular Sabbath come in? So a day after Passover, also a day after your second 7-day Sabbath, there's another Sabbath? Excuse me. There's a preparation day going into the Sabbath. So 2 days later, you're going to have a Sabbath. 2 days after a 7-day Sabbath, there is another Sabbath coming in. I'm confused. How is this possible? Banaya, explain that to me.
Can't do it, huh?
Okay. So, we got from the very beginning again, after 4 weeks, you always have two intermittent days before you hit your new moon, and 7 days after that, you have your first Sabbath. So you usually have about 9 days from the last Sabbath of the month to the first Sabbath of the month. But it's supposed to be a consecutive 7-day Sabbath. That doesn't make sense. Okay, Pentecost. Pentecost is supposed to be 49 days plus 1, which is 50 days. But it's also supposed to equal up to 7 weeks. But if you calculate it and you have a fluid 7-day Sabbath that keeps changing, it will not equal both 50 days and 7 weeks. That's strange. In Samuel, we read that 3 days after the new moon, there was a Sabbath. How? That doesn't make sense. Now we're reading that the day after Passover, they were preparing for the Sabbath. So 2 days after Passover, there was going to be a Sabbath. When the Sabbath falls on the 7th and 14th day, Passover falls on the 14th day at even. 2 days after that, there's a Sabbath. How? That's impossible. Doesn't make sense. Let's jump over to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis 1, we're going to deal with creation.
You want one-on-one?
No, we're going to start at verse 14. Genesis chapter 1, and we're going to get straight into it. Verse 14, and we're going to read down. We're going to read down to 18.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 14. And the Most High said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to provide the day from the night.
Okay.
Salakia, to divide the day from the night.
Yeah.
And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
See, it says days. Okay. Days of the month. Literally, the scriptures tell you the moon, the month is called after her name. Days of the month. It's not the same as days of the week. You can be the 7th day of the week and the 2nd day of the month. And we've just showed you that because back in Samuel, it was the 3rd day of the month, but it was the 7th day of the week. It's crazy, right? But let's read on. Watch this. Read verse 15.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And the Most High made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
Okay.
And the Most High set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
Drop down to 19.
Verse 19. And the even evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Was which day?
The fourth day.
Okay. So the week has already started. Some people make the argument, well, it's metaphorical. It's saying that it's actually, 4,000 years has gone by. Okay, because we read in 2 Peter 3:8. A day is unto the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day, right? Either way it goes, this is what a lot of people don't understand. Either way it goes, time had already started, right? So now we're just going to drop something in there. Time is already going, but we're going to put something in there to dictate how the week is going to run, even though the weeks have already started. What type of sense does that make? The middle of the week, we're going to drop something in there that governs the week. How, Sway? It doesn't make sense. And then after he made the moon, because most people assume that it was the new moon. After he made the moon, 3 days later, he rested and made a Sabbath. So even if you say it was thousands of years, the Lord explained it in a way that us terrestrial beings could understand. He broke it into 7 portions, and he said, this is what we'll call day 1, so you understand. This is day 2, day 3. Day 4 is when I'm going to create the moon, the stars, and the sun. 3 days after that, I'm going to rest. He broke his own rule. He broke his own rule. And people sit up there and say, well, Sabbath was made for men, not the Most High. Okay? That still doesn't take away from the fact that the moon was here and there was a Sabbath that came 3 days later. You still have to deal with that, whether you want to or not. Now, this is the fun part. Potential rebuttals you will hear from lunar Sabbath keepers. You can read those out.
Well, even if you believe the Sabbath is on a fixed day, it still will be wrong because it is not Saturday as we know it today. If you go back far enough, the days were switched around.
So, some people make the argument that, well, Saturday as we know it today, every 7 days that hits a Saturday, that was once a Tuesday. But y'all don't even know that. It was once a Tuesday. Okay. And they get this, or at least from what I've seen, individuals that teach this have used the argument, have used the source known as written space in Latin West. And it comes on page 89. And we're going to deal with that as well. Read the next one.
You can't show me Saturday in the scriptures.
Okay. Read.
You don't see it in the scriptures where there is a fixed week.
So that's one of the other arguments. We're going to deal with that too. Read.
The Gregorian calendar skipped 15 days. So the weeks couldn't be the same.
Okay. And we're going to deal with that too. Right? So let's deal with them. So we'll touch the responses and then we'll get the proof. So the responses are written space in Latin West. Once you read a few paragraphs up from the argument that they're trying to make using this source, it shows you that they're using biased scholarship because the calendar that they pulled up and the calendar that they used, the author of this book said, well, we don't really know exactly, where this came from. We don't really know if this was actually the calendar that all Romans were going by at the time. It seemed to be, just some, matter of fact, we're going to read it. Don't worry about it. Then the second one is you never see where the scriptures say the moon governs the weeks. Matter of fact, we just read in Genesis 1, right? It says, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. You don't hear weeks, right? Real quick, let's go to Psalm 109. Because they say that all the time. You don't see Saturday in the Bible. Okay, and you don't see in the scriptures where it says, and let the moon govern the weeks. You don't see that, right? Psalm 104, verse 19.
The book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 19. He appointed the moon for seasons.
For what?
For seasons.
Okay, read.
The sun knoweth his going down.
So the scriptures say the moon was appointed for seasons. Go to Sirach 43. So it's telling you, all through the scriptures, it tells you what the moon governs. It governs seasons. It governs days of the month. But it never says weeks. Read.
You want 6?
I want 6 through 8. Yep.
Sirach, chapter 43, verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times.
Okay, so it's supposed to declare times, right? What kind of times? Read.
And a sign of the world.
Okay.
From the moon is the sign of feast.
Okay, so it is a sign of feast. And we're going to get specifically what feasts in a moment. Read.
A light that decreaseth in her perfection.
Okay.
The month is called after her name.
Okay.
Increasing wonderfully in her changing. Being an instrument of the armies above. Shining in the firmament of heaven.
So it says the month is called after her name. So it determines also the months because each full lunation cycle is one new month, right? It said it's a sign of feasts, right? Let's go to Leviticus 23. I want to show you something. Because it also said it's a sign. It's to govern seasons. Back in Genesis. That's what it said, right? Okay. Let's see which feasts the moon governs. Let's read verse 4, 23 and 4.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4. These are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
In their what?
In their seasons.
Okay, so you have what's called seasonal feasts. It's not talking about the weekly convocation that we have known as the 7-day Sabbath. Seasonal feasts. Right? Let's go ahead. Oh, excuse me. Let's deal with the third one. So the response to the third one, let me go back one for you. It says the Gregorian calendar skipped 15 days, so the weeks couldn't be the same. Well, here it says the 15 days that the Gregorian calendar skipped. Today is, that was the title. Today is the 434th anniversary of the introduction of the Gregorian calendar as a subtle new Google Doodle reminds us. Back in 1582, Pope Gregory XIII decreed that 10 days following October 4th simply wouldn't exist. The next day would be October 15th. And I'm going to show you what that looks like on a calendar. So we're going to deal with each response very specifically. We're going to get very thorough. So I want you to read. Go ahead and read that out.
The parts that's used to discredit Saturday being the same day today. Page 89.
So this is coming out of this particular book, Written Space in Latin West. And this is the particular excerpt that they use. Read.
The year is neatly provided by the consular names. The Emperor Nero and Cassius Lentulus.
Emperor Nero and and the 8th itus, Februarius, is the 6th of February.
But Mao noted that the writer incorrectly made this day the day of the sun.
Okay.
Therefore Sunday.
Okay.
When it was in fact the day of Mercury. Therefore Wednesday.
Okay, so what it's saying here is that this particular calendar that was seen, somebody put on that calendar that February 6th was a Sunday. But indeed, it was a Wednesday. So they're saying somebody made an error in the calendar. So how do we know the days are right? That's the argument that they make, right? Do I need the rest? I don't need the rest of that because the rest of it doesn't even deal with what I'm referring to. So now let's go. This is literally one paragraph above. Read this.
Timetables, however, whether of market days or buses and trains, are fluid things, subject to change with and without notice. And we know too little of the actual dates of these surviving nundinal
weekly
cycles to be sure that they are actually contemporary.
So to say, we don't even know if these are in the same time period, right? So what it just said is the timetables that we found in Rome, these pieces that we found, we know that it's fluid and The timetables in itself, overall, any schedule that you make is subject to change, right? Then it goes on to say, we don't know much about the weekly cycles to even be sure that they were in the same time period, and therefore it's open to correspondence. Read.
Are actually contemporary and therefore open to correspondence. Some appear ephemeral, temporary, or short-lived.
So some of these calendars that we found seem like temporary calendars. They might not even be the one that everybody was adhering to. It might have been maybe somebody was writing out their own personal calendar. Read.
Scratched as graffiti on plaster. The Pompeii calendar.
So that's the calendar. Actually, I don't think we read it. Let me go back here. The lunar day is also questionable because in AD 60 there was a full moon February 5th of February. So the 6th of February was the 15th. Finally, the London day. Okay, here it is. So finally, the London day would suggest the market day in Cumae was on the 6th of February and in Pompeii on 9th of February, whereas the Pompeii calendar would place Pompeii's day later in the cycle. So they're saying that the market day in Cumae is not the same as what was on the Pompeii calendar, and that's the calendar that they're referring to that was off. That was the calendar, the Pompeii calendar is what they're referring to that said, well, this one threw off all of the days, so how do we even know all of the Saturday is the same as what it once was back in 60 AD. We don't know. We don't have a clue because look, they screwed up the days here, referring to the Pompeii calendar. Well, what did it just say? It said some calendars appear to be ephemeral or temporary calendars, scratched in graffiti on plaster. Read.
The Pompeii calendar.
So the Pompeii calendar they didn't even know whether or not that was a legitimate calendar. They said it was a temporary looking calendar. They scratched it in plaster. Read.
While others seem more permanent.
So they found other calendars that were more permanent, carved in what?
On marble. The
Basilicum parapegma, excuse me. So you had what was known as these temporary looking calendars, which was the Pompeii calendar that they had enough of to kind of put it together, but it was known as a temporary calendar or an ad hoc calendar, meaning for this reason or for this purpose. It wasn't the worldly calendar that everyone was following anyway. So for you to say, well, on the Pompeii calendar, the days were screwed up. It wasn't even the calendar everyone was adhering to. The calendar that everyone was adhering to, it doesn't say anywhere in here that that calendar was screwed up. The days in that calendar was messed up. Read on. They may reflect
circumstances that changed on an ad hoc. For this particular reason as needed basis rather than schedules fixed in Roman concrete.
So those temporary calendars wasn't concrete in the Roman society as a whole didn't follow that calendar. So for you to try to sit here and say, well, the Pompeii calendar was off. Well, the Pompeii calendar was just one particular person's calendar. Everyone didn't use that. Read.
Or perhaps people simply got their information wrong, right?
So it says the person who created that calendar or the individuals that were adhering to it, they screwed up when they made the calendar. But again, it says that all of Rome wasn't even adhering to this. It seemed to be a temporary calendar anyways. So to use this source to say, well, the days were off. So how do we know if it was off way back then? February 6th, they said it was a Sunday, but it was really a Wednesday. So all of the days are all screwed up. No, that was one person's calendar or one group of people's calendar. All of Rome didn't abide by that anyway. The following, and I'll just finish this up. The following graffito from AD 60 in Pompeii presents several chronological problems. So this particular calendar was just all off anyway. So how do you use that to justify and try to say, well, clearly Saturday ain't Saturday as it once was because look at this calendar that only a few people went by and it's screwed up. That's biased scholarship. You can't do that. Now, we went to these already. Scriptures on what the moon governs, because Again, the second argument that people make is, well, you don't see Saturday in the Bible. Okay, and you don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says the moon governs the weeks. The moon governs seasons. The moon governs feasts. That's what we read in the scriptures. Seasonal feasts, to be specific. Now, this is dealing with the third one. Well, the Gregorian calendar, let me see if I can go back to it really quickly. Here it is. The Gregorian calendar, no, you don't need that. The Gregorian calendar skipped 15 days, so the weeks couldn't be the same. Let me show you what that looks like, guys. It skipped 15 days, right? Let me get the laser pointer. This is all that it looks like. So let's say this was the week as we know it. The first fell on Thursday, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth, then the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. This is a full calendar, right? 30 days or 31 days in this particular one. This is what it looks like when you take out 15 days. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Okay, these other 15 days didn't exist. So Monday was the 5th. Instead of Tuesday being the 6th, Tuesday will be the 20th. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it continues on. The week didn't change. They pulled a few days out of the month. That's all that they did. They pulled 15 days out of the month. So to sit here and say, well, they took out 15 days, so the weeks changed. No, it didn't. It was still Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was still Thursday the 1st, Friday the 2nd, Saturday the 3rd, Sunday the 4th, Monday the 5th, Tuesday the 6th did not exist. It was Tuesday the 20th. That's the only thing that changed. The dates.
The dates changed,
not
but
the
the
days
days
of the week.
and the week didn't change.
Absolutely. Now, let's deal with this because I pulled it out earlier. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 21. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1. Let me show you something.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
So it says, these are holy convocations. These are my feasts. Read.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest.
So this is talking about the 7-day Sabbath. Read.
And holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Most High in all your dwellings.
Now read verse 4.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocations.
Wait, he just said that in verse 2. He said, concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. Verse 4 says, these are my feasts, these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations. But what's different about this? Read.
Which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
In their what?
In their seasons.
One more time.
In their seasons.
So he made a distinction. Verse 2, he said, these are my feasts. 6 days shall you do work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. Then he went back and said, these are my feasts again. But these feasts you will proclaim in their seasons. What did it say earlier that the moon governs? Feasts and
seasons.
Seasons. Oh, snap. So even the scriptures give you a distinction. The 7-day Sabbath occurs every week. Then you have seasonal feasts that the moon governs. That's what the moon governs. It don't govern and determine weeks. But now, let's see external sources. From the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is definition number 2. Read that for me. It should be here if you can't see it up there.
You want the cross-out portion?
We don't need that. Or it's highlighted.
The 7-day week is of a Semitic origin. Egyptians had a week of 10 days. The Jewish week had its origin in the creation account.
So it's talking about the Jews. It's talking about Israel, but as we know, they refer to us as Jewish. But the Israelite week had its origins in the creation account. Again, what we read earlier. In the evening and the morning was the first day, 2nd day, all the way to the 7th. Read.
And ran consecutively, irrespective
Read that
of
again. Wait. No. Read that again so they can hear this.
and ran consecutively, irrespective of lunar or solar cycles.
Wait a minute.
Cut.
Hold on. I gotta read that. Hold on. The 7-day week is of Semitic origin. Egyptians had a week of 10 days. The Jewish week had its origins in the creation account. Also, the Jewish week ran consecutively, irrespective of the lunar cycle and the solar cycle. Give me a second. Let's get the definition. What is the definition of irrespective?
Irrespective, without regard to something else,
Okay, read.
especially something specified, ignoring or discounting.
So it ran without regard to the lunar cycle. Read the next definition.
Functioning without or having no regard for persons, conditions, circumstances, or consequences.
So despite the condition of the moon having its 30-day cycle, the 7-day cycle still ran every 7 days. It was irrespective. It had the way that the week worked was not in conjunction with the month. It ran irrespective. It ran without regard to. Third definition, without considering or needing to allow for, So, yeah, the moon or the sun, exactly. The 7-day week runs consecutively, period. Sunday through Saturday is going to always run, and it doesn't have anything to do with the moon. The Lord even showed you that in Leviticus 23 when he said, these are my feasts. Now, these are the feasts, my feasts, that you keep in their seasons according to the moon. If all of them was to be according to the moon, then it wouldn't have been no need to create this distinction. Now watch this. This is now we're just going to get into reasoning. So we already showed in the scriptures. I want to get a recap. I wish I would have put it in the PowerPoint so we could have recapped it like this. I want to get a recap though. So once a month, you end up with 9 days before you hit a 7-day Sabbath. That's not in the scriptures. That's not biblical. You also can't even get 50 days to equal 7 weeks if you keep the lunar Sabbath when you're trying to keep Pentecost. 50 days has to equal 7 weeks, not 6 weeks, not 8 weeks. Plus 1 day. 7 weeks plus 1 day. Not 6 weeks, not 8 weeks, 7 weeks and 1 day, right? Then we get the showbread situation with David. 3 days after the new moon, they're changing showbread. They only change showbread on the Sabbath. 3 days after the new moon, there was a Sabbath. What Sabbath is that? Then we deal with Christ. Christ being crucified. He had the Passover, which was on the 14th day of the month, which is also one of the 7-day Sabbaths according to lunar Sabbath keepers. After he kept the Passover, which was a Sabbath, they were in the day of preparation the very next day for another Sabbath. Exactly. So the day of preparation was another day, which was preparing for the Sabbath, which falls 2 days after the Passover. How's there a Sabbath 2 days after Passover? Then we see in Leviticus 23, the Lord even makes a distinction. He said, these are my feasts, 6 days shall work be done, so on and so forth. And then these are my feasts that are actually governed by the moon. So one is governed by the weeks, the fixed week. The other one's governed by the moon. Then we saw in Genesis, the Lord created the moon, the moon and the weekly cycles run irrespective. It does not need the moon and the sun to run its course because it's a fixed consecutive 7 days. Now, let's use some reasoning. If the Sabbath was not Saturday, why change it? Why would we change it to Sunday? If it was already wrong and we was keeping it wrong, why would it matter? Let's change it again. Doesn't make sense. It's this document called the Converts Catechism of the Catholic Doctrine, right? Let me, because I didn't put it in the PowerPoint, I'm going to read it, or I'm going to pull it up so you can read it, Banaya. So, let's go here. No, it's not going to be on the PowerPoint. Let me see if it's in here. Here we go. Yeah, Shamar, bring the camera to us. Here it is. Now, really quickly, what I want to do too. Oh, don't do me like that. Here we go. Put it up 100%. And I want to get a definition really quickly. So it says the Convert's Catechism of the Catholic Doctrine. Really quickly, because I don't want people just sitting here assuming. Let's get the definition of, yeah, you can do that. Let's get the definition of catechism. It says, catechism is a summary of the principles of a religion in the form of Q&A, used for the instruction of Christians or Catholics. So a catechism is literally a Q&A structure for people who had questions. They have answers for you, and it's written in a document. So I have the document, and you can look it up for yourself. It's called, I left it up there for you, Convert's Catechism of the Catholic Doctrine. Now, there's a number of things in here. Actually, we'll start with this one. Oh, no, we can start here. So question is, which is the Sabbath day? What's the answer, Banaya?
Saturday is the Sabbath day.
So this is in the Convert's Catechism of the Catholic Doctrine. This is what you read. Question, which is the Sabbath day? Answer, Saturday is the Sabbath day. Question, why do we observe Sunday instead of Saturday? Answer.
We observe Sunday instead of Saturday because the Catholic Church in the Council of Laodicea, AD 336, transferred the solemnity from Saturday to Sunday.
Huh. So they already knew the Sabbath was on Saturday. If it wasn't on Saturday, why decide to play again? If we're already keeping it wrong, ain't no need to change it again. We're already keeping it wrong. Let's read the next one. Question, why did the Catholic Church substitute Sunday for Saturday?
The church substituted Sunday for Saturday because Christ rose from the dead on a Sunday, and the Holy Ghost descended upon the apostles on a Sunday.
So allegedly, it was a Sunday that Christ arose. Yeah, which is Christian doctrine or Catholic doctrine. So because Christ rose on this day, the Sabbath automatically changes. You don't read that in the Scripture. But Catholicism has such a strong hold on the people that their word is gospel in itself. Let's read the next one. Let me see. This one, right? A question. By what authority did the church substitute Sunday for Saturday?
The church substituted Sunday for Saturday by the plenitude of that divine power which Yahushua bestowed upon her.
So, the church said, we got the authority from Christ to change the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. I don't know where unless they got somebody that's a prophet like of old that went and spoke to Yahushua, or like Paul, because Paul was the only one that really spoke to Christ in that fashion. I call BS. But the thing is, if it was wrong, why change it again? If we already screwing up and doing it wrong, why does it matter? Right? Fact of the matter is, everyone knows the Sabbath falls on Saturday. I'm going to show you even historic documents from the Roman times. They knew that there were certain days that we didn't do things. And let's see what they call those days. Actually, I want to get one more thing. Let's go to, keep it off the PowerPoint because I don't think I have this one in there either. But again, this is the convert, so you can go look this up for yourself. I want to make sure that you guys are listening so you don't think I'm just making this up. Convert's Catechism, Catechism, Catechism of the Catholic Doctrine. Matter of fact, I don't even want to go to that. Which one? No, we're good because this is like pages. We'll be on this for a long time. So I want the people, you guys go and look this up for yourself. It's like the rest of them are, I'm sorry, it's like a 3-page document. The rest of these are comments. Excuse me. It's like a 3-page document. Go and check it out for yourself if you don't believe us, right? Now, take us back to the PowerPoint. We have 2 historical documents around the siege of 70 AD from Frontinus and Cassius Dio. So we're going to get, I believe we get Cassius Dio first, but I want to pull up, here it is. Excuse me, we're going to get Frontinus first. And I just pulled that up so I can read the title of it next. So, this excerpt is from Frontinus. We can see it at the bottom. It's highlighted at the bottom. Frontinus, The Stratagems, Book 2, Chapter 1, Section 17, in Loeb Classical Library. Frontinus, page 98, the author's translation, right? So let's read, at the top it says, on the day of Saturn. We don't have to read the whole thing. This is talking about the siege of 70 AD. Read where the first line right above the highlighted part.
The divine Augustus Vespasian attacked the Jews
The other one. It's acting up right now because we can't see it on the wall. So it says, the divine Augustus Vespasian attacked the Jews on the day of Saturn. In Roman times, they refer to the day of Saturn as what we call today, Saturday. Watch this. On which it is forbidden for them to do anything serious, and prevailed. So, Augustus knew that if he attacked us on Saturday, we weren't going to fight back. Why were we not fighting back? Could it be because it was the Sabbath? Just like when you read in the Maccabees, when we chose not to fight on the Sabbath day? I don't know. But I do see that there's a historical account that even the Romans knew when they were trying to take over us. They knew Saturdays we wasn't gonna be fighting.
I want to read it.
You got that?
Come on. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, and verse 34.
Okay.
But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So I'm going to go ahead and drop down to 38. 37. But said, let us all die in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye shall put us to death wrongfully. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people.
Where is it?
Let me get 40.
Okay.
40 and 41. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us up out of the earth.
So,
hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him. Neither will we all die as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places.
So the Greeks knew this too. During the time that we was fighting, in the time of the Maccabees, the Greeks knew too. Oh, Saturday, they can't fight. Okay. Well, guess what? History repeated itself in the time of the Romans. The siege of 70 AD. Our people said, it's the Sabbath. We can't fight. What day did it say? It said, the divine Augustus Vespasian attacked the Jews on the day of Saturn, on which it is forbidden for them to do anything serious, and prevailed. So Augustus prevailed because every Saturday, every Sabbath, our Sabbath, he knew that I can go and I can tear down that wall. I can take my time because they're not going to fight us back. We ain't got to worry about it. Watch this. Another excerpt. Cassius Dio, book 37. No, I got you. Right. So it's called Roman History by Cassius Dio. We're going to start at the top.
Most of the city, to be sure, he took without any trouble, as he was received by the party of Hyrcanus. But the temple itself, which the other party had occupied, he captured only with difficulty.
Okay.
For it was on high ground and was fortified by a wall of its own.
Okay.
And if they had continued defending it on all days alike, he could not have gotten possession of it. As it was, they made an excavation of what are called the days of Saturn.
Hold on. So it said, had he been fighting every other day, it would have been trouble. It said, but instead, we decided to make excavation. We decided to really go in on these walls to try to tear them down on what was called the days of what?
Saturn.
Oh, on Saturday. Read.
And by doing no work at all on those days, afforded the Romans an opportunity in this interval to batter down the wall.
So we didn't fight on Saturdays, and it gave the Romans a chance to tear down our wall. Oh, wow. Read on.
The latter, on learning of this superstitious awe of theirs.
So they felt like it was superstitious. Wow, you guys don't work on you guys don't do anything on Saturn's day? Well, I mean, why? Is it bad luck? What's going on? Read.
Made no serious attempts to the rest of the time.
Uh-huh.
But on those days, when they came round in succession, assaulted most vigorously.
So it said the Romans found out. They said, what's this weird at? What? They don't do nothing on they won't even fight on this day? You know what? We'll do all the damage that we can on the day of Saturn, and then we'll just wait it out the rest of the week. We ain't got to rush. After a couple of weeks, we're going to have this. So they knew on the day of Saturn, also known as Saturday, it was our Sabbath. What more do you want? We've shown you how scripturally the lunar Sabbath would be off, because you end up with 9 days, once a month, 9 days before you hit a 7-day Sabbath. Pentecost can't be calculated properly. 3 days after the new moon, there was a Sabbath. 2 days after Passover, there was a Sabbath. The moon was created in the middle of the week. 3 days later, the Lord had a Sabbath. The Leviticus 23 shows us that there's a separation between the weekly Sabbath and all of the seasonal feasts, which are Sabbaths. We even read in external sources, Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, Cassius Dio, and even Frontinus. All historic sources, and one educational source, a Bible dictionary, all say that it was the weekly Sabbath was on a Saturday. Well, excuse me. The Compact Bible Dictionary tells you that the weekly Sabbath doesn't run with the moon. But the two historical sources show you that it was on Saturday. It says the day of Saturn. Let's look at it in the Greek and Hebrew language. So here we see the word Sabbath in Greek is sabbaton, right? Same thing here. These are two different lexicons. So the Greek word again, you'll see sabbaton, Sabbath. Let me see if I can get it over here in this area. Sabbaton, right? Now watch this. English to Greek. Sabbath, sabbato. Saturday, sabbato. So even in Greek, the Sabbath and Saturday are the exact same word. Let's see what it looks like in Hebrew. Sabbath day, Yawam Shabbat. Saturday, Yawam or Yom Shabbat. Sabbath in Hebrew, Shabbat. Saturday, Yom or Yom, Shabbat. I mean, I personally feel like this is enough information to show you that the Sabbath falls on Saturday. It's not predicated upon the moon. It's not dictated by the moon. The lunar Sabbath scripturally doesn't even make sense. Again, a 9-day, once a month you have 9 days before your 7-day Sabbath. That in itself destroys it. Pentecost can't be calculated as 49 plus 1 day, in addition to it also having to be 7 weeks. That's another one. 3 days after the new moon, there's a Sabbath. That's another one. 2 days after Passover, there's a Sabbath. That's another one. It doesn't hold weight. When you really sit down and you dissect these scriptures, it doesn't hold weight. Scriptures tell you to rightly divide. You can bring it back to us, Shamar. Scriptures tell you to rightly divide the word of truth. Scriptures say to study to show yourself approved. This ain't got nothing to do with, oh, you following a man, or that's, y'all particular doctrine because you learned that from somebody. This is sitting down, studying the scriptures for yourself, sitting down, getting the excerpts and the information for yourself. I gave you a lot of this stuff. It's not like, it's different if you sitting there and you talking about it off the top of your head. I can feed you any garbage. The sources are here on the screen. I gave you the name of the sources for you to check it yourself. We went through the scriptures, and the thing is, I read the extra parts of the scriptures just so individuals can't say, oh, but what about right here? You missed this part. No, I read everything through and through for you, so you can't say that I tried to mix, jumble, or anything, or manipulate the scriptures. None of that. The scriptures say what they say. Let Yahweh be true and every man a liar. Scriptures show you the lunar Sabbath ain't scriptural. Scriptures show you the lunar Sabbath ain't of the Most High. Ain't no partial scholarship here. This was digging to give it to you so you can go back and meditate on it yourself. Let it resonate in your spirit and see whether or not you believe it. Because at the end of the day, I gave you the information. I showed you the proof. What you choose to do after that is between you and the Most High. So, again, one more time for those in the back. Once a month, you're going to get 9 days before you hit the 7-day Sabbath. That's between the very last Sabbath of the month and the very first Sabbath. It's 9 days because there's 2 days unaccounted for before the next new moon. 9 days before Sabbath, not scriptural. Pentecost can't be calculated correctly because it has to be 50 days and 7 weeks.
7 weeks plus 1 day.
Excuse me, it's supposed to be 7 weeks plus 1 day, which is 49 days plus 1 day. Because the scriptures tell you it's the feast of 7 weeks.
Feast of weeks.
You're not going to get that with the lunar Sabbath because your Sabbath keeps changing. Not scriptural. 3 days. If you're keeping the lunar Sabbath, there's no Sabbath that comes in at this time. 3 days after the new moon, a Sabbath comes in the time of David when he went and ate the showbread. Doesn't make sense. 2 days after the Passover, there was a Sabbath coming in. Not scriptural. So just dealing with the Most High's words alone, we see that the lunar Sabbath it don't hold no water. It don't hold no weight. So again, information is given to you. What you do with it is up to you. Meditate on it. Let it resonate in your spirit. This has been another episode of Stick to the Script, the first segment on Stick to the Script Live of Choppa City. Because, like we say, we chopping, we cutting up all false doctrines. And casualty number 1 was the lunar Sabbath doctrine. All praise to the Most High. So with that, we're going to send them up to the Most High, and we're going to get ready to get out of here. Shalom.
Shalom, Israel.